Welcome to the exam room with Nurse Alice.
The bottom of the foot has very thick skin and it's not as pliable as the skin on the top. So basically trying to reapproximate that area for healing is a big concern of mine.
Hello, friends, and welcome to the exam room with Nurse Alice, the show where we take a closer look at things going on in the world today. And we talk about everything from health and wellness to love and lifestyle to politics and pop culture. So get ready to live life well. So here at the exam room, we like to start the show off with some hot topics, things that come from letters, DMs, emails, messages, tweets, all kinds of stuff from you, the viewers, because we want to talk about things that are important to you and that are on the top of your mind. And so going to go ahead and kick it off. We got a message from Melissa, who is a 29-year-old mother of two, a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old from Tulsa, Oklahoma. And her question was, because COVID has been the way that it has, infection rates climbing, concerns that there's going to be a second wave. Her question was, should Halloween be canceled? Now, that is a great question. And thank you, Melissa, for writing in. We appreciate you. And you're not the only one who's thought about this. And here's the thing. So we can't necessarily cancel the culture or the spirit of Halloween, but I think where you were going with that was canceling the activities around Halloween. And absolutely, and I know your concern. And in fact, this is what we do know. Over 210,000 Americans have died from COVID-19 thus far in this past 8-9 months. And what we also know is because of that, and due to Centers of Disease Control guidelines, 37 states have canceled activities around Halloween. So what kind of activities, right? So they've canceled parades, festivals, parties, anything that's going to bring large groups of people together for fear of spreading coronavirus. And that makes sense. Definitely does make sense. And again, like I said, the CDC has set out guidelines, but guys, these are just guidelines, okay? They do not bypass or replace any type of state, local, tribal, territorial health and safety laws, rules, or regulations. So we want to be informed, but just know those are guidelines. And there's also some common sense that plays a role in this, right? It's going to be very important that we look at risk versus reward. And somewhere in the middle there is what prompts us to make our decisions. So when we look at risk, how many COVID infection rates are occurring in your area? Perhaps the rates are really high and you live in a highly populated, dense city where there's lots of public transportation and transmission potential is high. Or maybe you live in a city where the rates are low, you got lots of resources and it's not a problem. And then also, are you someone who has risk factors, or maybe someone in your family have risk factors for complications? So the very old, very young, people with pre-existing medical conditions, those who are immunosuppressed. So we got to look at all those things when we're looking at risk. Now you got to balance that risk with reward. Now, for some of you guys, it's like, it's Halloween. It's just a day where people get dressed up. We don't celebrate. It's not really a holiday. It doesn't count. And that may be true for most people, but you guys have to understand that for some, this may be a long-standing family tradition where families get together, they make a big to-do about it, and it's something that goes down in their photo album book every year because they have all these contests and Auntie Susie wore this, and they're having, all of these things that create memories for their family. And you want to take into consideration the kiddos, right? We might say, oh, they're too young, they'll forget about it, they don't understand. Will they? Now, I think that kids today, they're brighter and smarter than they ever were, right? They have access to so much information, but they're still kids. They still want to get dressed up. They still want candy. They still want to go out with their friends and all of those things. So just be mindful that while many adults were crushed with graduations being canceled, proms being canceled, sports being canceled, just imagine telling your 6-year-old who, was for the first time was really going to be able to do everything his or herself this Halloween that Halloween is canceled. So I know it stinks, but we got to balance risk versus reward. Now, while you're making that decision, other things that should come into play are the recommendations, like I mentioned, from the Centers of Disease Control, as well as your resources. So what kind of resources do you have? So do you have access to cloth masks? Do you have, warm soapy water at, frequent, several places that you have access to? Do you have hand sanitizer here and there? Will there be plexiglasses where you're at? So you want to look at what are some of the resources that you have that can protect you, right? And so, and speaking of resources and recommendations and those type of things, what I wanted to get into, in case you're a parent who is deciding on the fence a little bit about, should I take little Johnny trick-or-treating? And if I do, how can I do so safely? Let's take a look at some of those CDC guidelines. So steps to take when trick-or-treating. So here we go, right? So let's talk about 6 feet social distancing. Now, as adults, we have a hard time, let alone some excited little kids who are dressed up and wanting to congregate with their friends, or maybe running the other direction when they see the Wicked Witch at the door. So it's going to be extra important that adults take control and make sure that they're monitoring kids as they're trick-or-treating. I mean, back in the days, we used to just run up to the door, stick our hands in there, try to get as much candy, stick our jack-o'-lantern out there, pillowcases. And so now that's not the case. So we're going to have to celebrate, but celebrate a little bit differently. And so for our next slide here, we have making trick-or-treating safer. So this is going to be a little challenging too. Avoiding direct contact with trick-or-treaters. Kids love to hug each other. I don't know about y'all, but the kids that I know, they love to hug each other. And it's, oh my gosh, you're a vampire. I'm Minnie Mouse, and they're hugging and they're wanting taking pictures. So got to be careful with that. You want to try to trick or treat outdoors if possible, right? That's going to be key, because we know when we're outdoors, it dilutes any type of coronavirus that might be in the air. Also, setting up a station with individually bagged treats for kids to take. I think this is cool. What you can do is individually wrap your goodies, maybe set them outside along your fence, the periphery of your yard there, and just let the kids take a bag. Honor system, but I think even if you're just sitting at the porch and just watching them, they can take their own treat and they can go. And hand washing and wearing masks, of course, are going to continue to be important. And speaking of masks, right? Make your cloth mask part of your costume if all possible. So that's kind of cool, right? And we're seeing lots of different styles and fashions with masks nowadays. So just incorporate it into your costume. But know that your costume mask is not a substitute for a cloth mask. And you definitely don't want to double up and wear your costume mask over your cloth mask. That can create problems from breathing. And along the lines of problems breathing, we want to make sure that masks aren't worn by children under the age of 2 or anyone who has problem breathing. Also, I don't think this is any new news, boo-boo for those who don't do it quite right yet, but washing your hands and using hand sanitizer. Okay, guys, back to 101, but let's say it again. Washing your hands with warm soapy water for at least 20 seconds before you jump into your treats and start eating them. And then if you're going to use hand sanitizer, make sure that it has 60% alcohol in it. That's what's needed to kill those bugs and those germs and all of those cooties out there, okay? We want the tricks and the treat, but not that kind. And lastly, again, I know I'm beating this like a dead horse, but keeping your distance, at least 6 away from others and those who you don't live with. So what some people are doing is they are going trick-or-treating or sharing in festivities only with friends and family that they know. They're not going to any stranger's house, or they're kind of a strange neighbor, none of that stuff. Because before, you used to just go to every house, right? For the most part. Now they're only trick-or-treating at homes that they're familiar with the homeowners. And while being outdoors is best, whether you're outdoors or indoors, you want to be careful about how much time you're spending with people, okay? The reason being is if you're in close contact for long periods of time, you actually increase your risk of getting coronavirus, resulting in COVID-19. And when we say close contact, again, that's less than 6 feet for more than 5 minutes. So guys, that's something that's very important that you're going to need to know so you can enjoy your Halloween. And, again, guidelines. It's education to help empower you to make the right decisions. So risk versus rewards, but thinking about those resources. And speaking of resources, just so you know, it's not too late. I want to thank our sponsors at Nurse Approved. They have this awesome travel kit where it's not too late. There's actually a Halloween discount. If you type in Halloween, you'll get a 20% discount and get this cool travel kit. It comes with two KN95 masks, something that I dropped here, my hand sanitizer, 2 pairs of gloves, and 10 Santee wipes, all that in a cool waterproof kit from Nurse Approved. And they also have cool masks that come adjustable earlobes. They mold to the nose, all these cool things in a variety of colors. So check them out at IamNurseApproved.com and enter Halloween for your 20% discount. So thank you so much. Those were our hot topics. Now, moving along, getting into some other great information. You guys, you've seen the promo. We have a great lineup for today. We have Jocko Sims from NBC's New Amsterdam show coming to visit with us. We also have Dr. Ebonie Vincent from TLC's My Feet Are Killing Me joining us later this evening. But first, we want to get to a very special guest. Her name is Tiffany Porter, Judge Tiffany Porter. She's a judge and criminal defense attorney, and she's beat breast cancer twice, guys, twice. And on Monday, October 14th, she made history. She was sworn in as the first Black associate judge in Duluth, Georgia. She's no stranger to beating the odds inside and outside of the courtroom. I mean, in addition to her career ladder, her personal life, beating breast cancer twice, she's also watched her mother go in and out of prison, which built her motherly instinct and nurturing characteristics, not only as a mother, but as an attorney and as a local official to help us, her constituents. And so she does amazing work. She's also, what else? She does so much stuff. She's also a contributor to Court TV, a legal contributor. She's been on an expert on other shows, several national shows as well. And she's currently running for office for Gwinnett County Tax Commissioner. Oh, guys, come on. Welcome, 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 Judge Tiffany Porter to the show.
Thank you.
Hey, Tiffany.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. You look beautiful. And of course,
I
see the ribbon there, and I am wearing the ribbon in spirit. You have had quite a journey.
Yes.
And, so I wish I had half that strength. And so what I'd like to do is, I know October, it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. It's something we're really trying to raise awareness with women, getting screened, getting their mammograms, making sure that they're, seeing their health professional, having these discussions. We got to raise awareness because screening prevention is key. Now, I know you've had your personal struggles with breast cancer. Can you tell us a little bit about your story? And I mean, you beat it twice. So kudos to you. But tell us a little bit more about when you may have first discovered that you had breast cancer.
Well, thank you for having me. I will say that first in 2008, I was diagnosed at 29 with pretty much stage 0 breast cancer. I opted to have a double mastectomy. I took all of the precautions to where they told me that I probably had a 99% chance of never getting it again, or 1% chance of getting it again. Fast forward 10 years later, right before my 10th anniversary of being cancer-free, I found out in 2018 that it came back. And I was really at a loss because I thought that once I removed my breast, that there would be no chances of getting breast cancer again. But indeed, that's what it was. And I had a different journey the second time, because the first time I did not do chemo or radiation. I just had surgery and went home. But for this time, I did chemo, radiation. I did so many different therapies that, I mean, it's a very debilitating treatment, I would say. And it's hard. It was hard. It was hard. And that's why it's so important for people to listen to their bodies. Now, I will say for the second time around, I listened to my body. I went to the doctor over and over again. They kept telling me there's nothing wrong with you. Everything is okay. They drew blood. They did all these tests. And I went back again and I said, you need to do some additional testing. And that's what they did. They did the additional testing. And then the very next day, they called me in the office to give me the news.
Now, and I'm sorry that you went through all that. And I have to say that just listening to your story, you're a fighter. You are definitely a fighter, a survivor, someone who is so strong. Now, can I, if I can ask, and for others, because some of us, we get so discouraged at some of the simple things in life. Can you tell us what kept you motivated and kept you going so you didn't give up while you were struggling with breast cancer, even a second time?
Well, my first, God, and then my family. I have 4 children who depend on me, and that was my main focus. I vowed to God when I was laying on my couch and sick and emaciated that if he gave me another opportunity to get up and walk, because at one point I wasn't even walking. Most people didn't know that. I said, if he gives me the opportunity to get back and to get my health back, that I will continue to serve him and to live in my purpose. I didn't want to be that person that said, oh, I have cancer, I can't do this, I can't do that. I'm all about living my life out loud and doing all the things that I want to do while I'm still here, cancer or not.
Yes, that is so true. And I'm sure your story has been inspiring to other people who have, found out that they've had breast cancer or if they've gone through something else, because you're in the public light. I mean, so, and what I've seen, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that some people that when they're experiencing this, they kind of go into a shell. They don't want to talk to anyone, or, they keep things very private, which understandably so. But I mean, you're an attorney, you're a judge, you've been on television. So how has that been, sharing your story, living that and being in such a public light?
Well, most people don't believe what I went through or what I've gone through, but
you made it look easy, although it's not easy.
Oh,
because look at this, oh, she looks so beautiful and so looks strong in office. Like, look, cancer has no chance against you. Listen.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I will be candid and say this is really one of 2 times that I've been brave enough to actually don my hair. But I said, you know what? It doesn't matter anymore. I want to show people, my journey. And part of that journey was losing my hair, not once, but twice. And, once you get over I guess I was just disappointed. I was devastated. But once you get over that and realize that you have more to live for, and that everything is not breast cancer, because I had to get people out of that, just asking me all the time about the disease. And I said, I am more than breast cancer. I am a survivor and I'm doing these things. So it's more to life than just breast cancer. You can't allow or any illness to just consume your life.
Absolutely. You are not the illness. And so, and speaking of that, I mean, so you've come a long ways in your outside of the courtroom, but also in the courtroom. So, and you're a judge now. You made history. Ooh, yes. I love it. Yes.
For
and
you're
running for office.
Yes. I'm sorry.
So tell us about that, because I mean, that career pathway isn't for the faint of hearts, not at all. When did you know that this was going to be your path with working in the legal system, attorney, judge, and public office?
Well, for me, it started really early on with my mother being in and out of prison. I wanted to be a change. I mean, at the young age of 7, I decided that I was going to be a lawyer, and that never changed. Now, when I became a lawyer, some things changed as far as what I wanted to do and what I felt was a good fit for me. But that was my driving force, that I wanted to be an example for my family. I was the first to go to college, first to go to graduate school, and I wanted to lay a solid foundation for my family and be an example for my siblings. And so for me, becoming a judge was just the ultimate thing. You dream about those things happening. And so I'm so grateful that I was given the appointment, and I love it. I love it. I love to, when I set the bench a week or two ago, and I love to see other people of color and their reaction when I stepped out on the bench. It
Yes.
was a moment to just be proud of, and you could just tell, even under the mask, you could tell, that there were smiles, even though they were there for tickets, but they were proud. And so I was, I'm very happy to be that example for little girls of color, all over, not just little girls of color, but particularly those that come up in the system and raised by grandparents or in foster care, to be an example that you can get out and that education is key. And as long as you continue to press forward, no one can take that from you. So I always felt that no one can take my degrees from me. No one can take these achievements or tell me yes or no. Yes. I just went for it.
Mm-hmm. Now, listen, they were in that court like, I don't want to see her, but I'm glad to see her, because, representation does matter. And I can tell you, even if they don't say anything to you, there's something that warms the heart when I see people of color in positions that we're not normally in, right? So I love seeing it. I love seeing Black excellence, which you are a prime example of. Thank you for all of your work, for serving the citizens, doing so in a righteous and justice way. So there's so many, things going on in the world today. A lot of people are nervous. There's a distrust with, what's going to happen with our government, with our legal system, and seeing people like you and having people in your positions really makes a difference and means a lot. And you're running for office. So as we get ready to wrap up, can you tell us a little bit more about the position you're running for, and where can we follow you and support you so we can get you into office?
Thank you. I am running for Gwinnett County Tax Commissioner. That's here in Georgia. And I decided to run because I wanted to make some changes in our county. It was time for some changes. The office has been ran by some of the same administration for over 30 years. So it was time. It was time. And I felt that this was a great time for me to do it. And I talked with my family to make that decision. And we felt that that would be the best thing for me at this time. I'm excited about it. You can go to my website, tiffanyporter.net, for more information. Please, please, please go out and vote. Go early vote, whatever you need to do to get out and vote. I urge people to not wait until Tuesday to make their voices be heard, to let their voices be heard, excuse me. And my Instagram is @Tiffany Porter, and my election page is @Porter for Tax Commissioner on IG.
Thank you so much. You guys, you've heard it. We've had the wonderful Tiffany Porter. Please follow her on social media. Check her out. She's doing some wonderful things for the community. She's a prime example. She's leading the charge when it comes to raising breast cancer awareness by example. And she's living proof here that, you can beat the odds. Screening is important. And again, Tiffany, thank you so much for coming on the show. Love to have you again in the future. And please don't be a stranger to the exam room.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, guys, that was good. That was good. And you know what? It is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And while it's a month, it really should be all the time. So, it's important for women. And actually, let me say this. 3% of men can have breast cancer, about 3%. And so it's really important that we get to know our bodies. I'm still very much a proponent of self breast exams. For women, the best time to do that is about 3 to 5 days after your menstrual cycle. And, get to know your body. Sometimes it's your partner that will find out that you have a lump in your breast. Either way, the most important part is that we know our body, so we know what's normal for us and what's not normal for us. And at the first sign of something not being normal, you need to make sure that you follow up with your doctor or your nurse practitioner, someone to get seen, because this is very, very important. Your health is very important, and a lot of the chronic care that's out there can be prevented with appropriate screening. Okay, so definitely want to make sure that you do your breast cancer screenings, get your mammograms and all of those things. And we'll continue the conversation about breast cancer, because although this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, we're still going to talk about the breasts. We are, because it's an important part of our body. Okay, so moving on, I think you guys, we're going to bring on our next guest, and I am really excited because you know what? I've watched her on television, and I kind of lean in and like, oh my gosh, what is that? What am I seeing? So you guys, our next guest that I'm bringing on to the show, she is an ankle and foot surgeon. She's been a medical guest and contributor for Fox Health News, E! News. She's been on the Tamron Hall Show. She's been on Dr. Oz, The Doctors, and now she has her own show, and she's a reality star on TLC's show, My Feet Are Killing Me. Check this out.
Anytime you're dealing with something like this, you want to make sure that it's not infiltrating any other vital structures. So we did get an MRI to know how deep it goes. It could be a cancerous form of tissue. It very well could be an extra toe. But in order to rule it out, you have to take it out.
Please welcome to the show, Dr. Ebonie Vincent.
Hello, Nurse Alice. How are you?
Now listen. So I have to ask though, because you see some, I'm gonna say cool, but it's not really cool, but some interesting, let me say interesting things.
That's a good word.
Yeah.
I mean, anytime someone walks into the room, when you're dealing with someone's feet, you never really know what you're going to get. I mean, I think that's kind of what I love about the profession. Mm-hmm. But it's definitely since the show, things have just been getting a bit dark.
Well, I'm so glad that, again, more Black excellence. I love seeing physicians and a specialist in those positions. But I want to ask, Dr. Ebonie, so many people aspire to be a physician, right? I want to be a doctor. Right. I want to, make a difference. At what point did you know that you wanted to specialize in the foot and ankle?
So it's weird how I kind of fell into podiatry. I was one of those students that definitely wanted to go the MD or DO route. And the more I learned about the field of medicine, I kind of focused and was like, okay, you know what? I really like sports medicine. Like if I'm not doing something with my hands, then I don't really want to do it. So basically when I found the field of podiatry and it was a surgical specialty, it marketed itself as a family-friendly field where you could both have a family and a life and also be this like great surgeon. So it sort of fit my entire personality and lifestyle goals. And so basically I, went to undergrad at Hampton University, majored in biology, and also played volleyball. So I had to do a post-bac program in order to get all of the educational requirements to apply to medical school. And I did a 2-year master's program. And while in my master's program, I did a lot of shadowing. I shadowed every specialist that you could probably think of. And when I shadowed a podiatrist, I was like, now this is something that I can do both lifestyle and professionally and be very happy with.
Oh, okay. So good. So you were strategic. She said, I was like,
where going to go?
That's good. And so I'm glad to see it. And I think you're from a family of doctors. I think I watched the episode where your brother was one of your patients. So he was a physician also. Do you come from a line of physicians?
No, not line of practicing physicians. My dad is a PhD, so both my parents were in education. We do have family who are other doctors in our extended family, which definitely played a role in our decisions. But I'm the first podiatrist in my family, and my older brother is a family medicine doctor, so it really kind of worked out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he can refer lots of patients to you. It's like, yes. So
Yeah.
let me talk about feet for a second. So we say a lot about the brain, like strokes and heart attacks and lungs and COPD and things like that. And sometimes, the feet can be forgotten, or like the last part, until they hurt or they're painful, or quite honestly, we're so embarrassed or kind of shamed about what they look like. Why is that?
It's funny you say that, because a lot of things do manifest in the feet first, and they're a really good telltale sign of what's going on in your body. Like, for instance, if someone shows up with bilateral leg swelling, like they just woke up and all of a sudden they can't have, like they're pushing their feet and it's just kind of going in with all the swelling, that person could possibly have cardiac heart failure. And, your first instinct is to go fix your feet. But in reality, you're having to fix a whole lot more than just your feet. Like, that's just kind of the catalyst for you to start to take care of it, because that's what you notice.
Okay, got it. So that makes sense. You see things manifest, and then it can definitely be something else. Now, let me ask this though, because along the lines of feet, and I learned some new words today. So let me break my vocabulary, because we're all familiar with halitosis, bad breath. I've learned the word today, bromidosis. Am I saying that correct? Stinky feet. Is that another word for stinky feet?
Bromidosis. Okay, stinky feet.
Is that correct? Did I get that right?
Yes, that's correct. So when people have all feet can smell. I mean, you're putting them in like your shoes and your socks, and you're doing your activity every single day. But some people happen to have just overactive sweat glands, overactive sebaceous glands, and those tend to be the people that have the extra punch with their feet, their foot odor, right? So that compacted with those people tending to have the ability to get more foot fungus, to get more athlete's foot, that kind of creates an extra layer of non-great smells to your feet.
Stank. Awesome. Malodorous.
Yes.
Malodorous. And you know what? Let's just be clear. We've all had stinky feet at some point in time. Let's be honest. Those socks were on too long. Those shoes you should have threw the shoes out, the gym shoes. And so, but it's something that we need to be conscious about, because I think there's a difference between having an occasional stinky feet and then having something that's continuous.
Yeah. You're right. So there's something that everyone can do that kind of make this better, just putting it out there. But then there's some people that actually need treatment from a physician in order to actually help them. So in that sense, like, you can come to a podiatrist. There are things that we can do to help you.
Right. And, when I think of podiatrists, someone that I think always should have a podiatrist on their team are people who are diabetic.
Oh,
do you
absolutely.
agree with that? Now, what's a tipping point? So, like, let's say someone's diabetic, their blood sugars are still okay, managed, every once in a while spike here or there, but should they automatically have a podiatrist, or do they wait till something happens before they?
So you should automatically have a podiatrist. It's mainly the diabetics that wait until something's wrong. And the reason being is that diabetics, they lose the nerve endings in their fingertips and in their toes. And those are the first things to go. And so when you're doing, random habits that you've probably always done, walking around barefoot, namely one of them, you cannot feel the bottoms of your foot. You can step on something. That something creates a wound on the bottom of your foot, and you won't know it. And you won't know it until the top of your foot becomes red hot and swollen. And then you come to the doctor, and by the time an x-ray is gotten, then you have gas gangrene. Then you have osteomyelitis, and then it's just this whole domino effect. So the answer to your question is absolutely. As soon as you get that diagnosis of type 2 diabetes, you need to go see a podiatrist and your eye doctor.
Okay, very important, guys. And so many people have diabetes that, listen, I don't think everybody has diabetes is seeing a podiatrist. So whether it's you, your friend, your auntie, your grandma, make sure, like Dr. Ebonie said, Nana, that you need a podiatrist. So let's call Dr. Ebonie. She's here in the OC. Let's go see her. Okay. So I have a couple other questions, because this, sometimes I'll just be honest. Sometimes we can be embarrassed to ask our providers these questions like, oh, this is a silly question, but I'm going to ask some questions that I know that I'm not the only one who has these questions. And you can tell me if these are true or false and what we can do about it. So are high heels bad for the feet?
Yes. Your feet are not, I know. Well, you're not wear your high heels. It's just you need to learn the parameters of wearing high heels. So, your foot is not shaped like a triangle. If you can get a wider base high heel shoe or something that's rounded, that fits your toes better. If you can buy something that's like a shorter heel with a larger wedge base, that's also helpful. So you can wear your heels for longer without having the detrimental side effects of the heels. But overall, just wear them in moderation. You'll be okay.
Okay. If I'm having some kind of foot aches or foot pains, can I just go to the local Rite Aid or CVS and buy some sole inserts and just be on my way? Or is that something I should go and get seen for first?
They have a lot of over-the-counter products now that I do think work. So I would, as a first pass, yeah, sure, you can go to the CVS. They have a whole foot aisle. They've got tarsal pads. They got heel pads. They do have like shoe inserts. I would kind of think twice if you're having like mid-foot pain or a severe heel pain, that those little thin inserts are not going to be actually working for you, but it's worth a try. And then after you feel like those things aren't working, then you can come to the podiatrist. Absolutely.
Okay, good. And we have a question here from an audience member, Lisa Maskell. She posted it here on the screen. Is it true that continually wearing nail polish on your toes is detrimental? What happens if you never go without polish? Always stay painted? Man.
Yeah, that's quite impressive. It's a good question though. So, sometimes when people haven't seen their nails in years, that's just something that people do. They just always have a freshly manicure or pedicure. What happens is sometimes your nail gets weaker, gets more brittle, can start, getting a little bit weak and start cracking. And then that makes it easier for a fungus to settle in. Also, if your nails are always painted a dark color, then it's even more applicable for you to have it. So I would say at least, once every 4 weeks, just kind of take it off, give it a couple days to breathe, take your vitamin B12, some biotin, strengthen those nails, and then then keep it pushing. But your nails do need a break every now and again.
Okay, that's good to know. Okay, so I know I can't keep you forever because we probably have a list of questions, but y'all need to go see your podiatrist or see Dr. Ebonie to get all of these questions answered. But Dr. Ebonie, before you go, you have a show on TLC. My feet are killing me. I've seen some of your episodes, and I'm just like, I'm like this, but then I'm like this because I can't help but lean in because it's so interesting.
Right.
Can you tell us a little bit more about what we can expect from the show and things like that, and where we can follow you?
Oh, sure. Well, you can follow me at Dr. Ebonie on my Instagram. It's dr.ebonie. And basically right now, the show is in our telemedicine phase. We had this whole area of quarantine where we weren't able to see patients. So we are doing our first steps. We're just encountering each other onto the telemedicine, and we're setting our patients up for surgery. But soon to come, you'll be seeing all of the surgical procedures that we're going to do. There's people who have diabetic foot wounds. There's people who have venous stasis wounds. There's people who have random birth defects, hemihypertrophy. That's something you can Google, and that's pretty cool. We have a guy who has what's called tree man syndrome. If you ever heard of the tree man of Indonesia, you can look that up too. There are a lot of people that are unfortunately born with systemic issues that are very shocking to see, all of which will be addressed in our
show. Very good. You guys, you gotta tune in. We put the link to her show in the chat box. All you have to do is just click the link and it'll take you right there. Dr. Ebonie, thank you so much for coming on the show. We'd love to have you back. You are welcome anytime in the exam room. And it's been a pleasure. And we're gonna watch. We're gonna keep watching. I know I'm gonna be like this.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
This is Dr. Ebonie. So thank you so much. And we will be watching you on television. Thanks, Dr. Ebonie.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.
You too. You guys, if you haven't seen this show, it's like Dr. Pimple Popper, but for the feet. And and my heart goes out to the people that are experiencing this because some of this, they're dealing with depression, anxiety, pain. Some of this is from disease processes, like she said, birth defects that they can't control. But I will say, in watching the show, what does bring me some peace is that they're able to be seen by Dr. Ebonie, get some type of treatment, some type of relief, some type of recommendation. And that's really what the show's about, helping those people to actually transform their lives by transforming their feet. So Dr. Ebonie's doing some great work. Make sure to follow her. And guys, we are not finished yet. No, not at all. Matter of fact, our next guest, you will be excited to know that our next guest, I almost had to breathe there. Jocko Sims is an actor, writer, and producer. He with several and numerous roles on television projects, Dreamgirls, Jarhead, Dawn of the Apes. He's reoccurred and guest starred in several television shows. Excuse me, Jocko. On Grey's Anatomy, NCIS, CSI, Castle, and presently you will see him as Dr. Floyd Reynolds on the NBC drama New Amsterdam. You guys, check this out.
I forgot how nice it is to have you so close that I can stop by just to steal a kiss.
Can't steal what I want to give.
Come here, you. And about this morning, I know I need to give you some space.
Don't even. We're all good.
I'm just really excited that you're home. So, sorry for misplacing my chill.
San Francisco Memorial offered me a full-time position.
Please welcome to the show, Jocko Sims. Hey! How's it going? Oh, it's going good. Let's unmute you. Uh-oh. Can we hear you? We got to hear. Oh, no. We can't hear. We can see his handsome face, y'all, but we can't hear his handsome voice. Paging Dr. Reynolds. We are paging Dr. Reynolds.
Let's see.
There we go. Did I hear some
now?
Whoop, there it is.
You can hear me now?
Go. Yes. Oh, well, you know what? Technology does this thing sometimes, but don't worry, he's going to pop right back on in. You guys, if you haven't watched the show, he plays the head of cardiology on New Amsterdam. It's a show on NBC. It's a medical drama. It's so good. It is really, really, really good. Are we back?
Can you hear me?
Welcome to the show.
You can hear me?
Yes, we can. We can
okay,
hear you.
Great. Hey, what's
Very
going
good.
on? We here.
We are so happy to have you. I was like, paging Dr. Reynolds, paging Dr. Reynolds. So
Awesome.
I have to ask you, you've done so many projects. You've reoccurred, guest starred, film, movies, writer, actor. At what point did you know that theater and acting, and that this was the career for you?
Wow, it's so funny because when I was in school, my mom, me being the creative kid that I was, always at home, acting out things, singing, dancing. I couldn't sing, but just doing whatever. I was entertaining guests, my mom's guests when they came over. But I never thought that I would be an entertainer, oddly enough. I was really into school. I was a straight A student, National Honor Society president of my Spanish club, graduated magna cum laude, and I wanted to, I listen, it's been so many years. If you don't use it, you lose it. And that's the truth right there. But so I actually wanted to be a doctor, oddly enough. In high school, I even had a medical symbol on my high school ring. And when I got to college, something just told me I just didn't want to be in school for the next 12 years pursuing that. So for the first time, I took a theater course and I fell in love with it, moved to Los Angeles, finished up at UCLA, got my BA in theater, and went on my first audition and booked it. And that's when I knew this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a sign. Definitely a sign. Wow. Very, very accomplished. School, when you said president of the Spanish club, I'm like, wow, this brother is so smart and creative, and just a gem on television, I have to say. Really, really good. Now, with the show, can you tell us can you drop some gems about some upcoming things about the show? And also tell people, I watched New Amsterdam. So, but for those who may not know about your character, tell us a little about your character in the show.
Absolutely. So New Amsterdam is based on basically on Bellevue Hospital. It's a true story. Bellevue Hospital is the first public hospital in New York City. It's right down the street, still here. It's state of the art. It's the place that can handle infectious diseases. If the president of the United States falls ill, that's where they would take him. But there was a doctor who was the medical director there for 15 years named Dr. Eric Mannheimer. So he wrote a book called 12 Patients, Life and Death at Bellevue Hospital. And the creators of our show read that book and said this could be a great television series. And it's basically about trying to get through that red tape and all the bureaucracy and trying to get directly to the patient and help them, which is very difficult at times, especially in this country. And I play Dr. Floyd Reynolds, who was the head of the cardiac surgical department.
Right. I've watched the show. And let me say, you said if the president dropped ill, on your Twitter page, it says the president follows you. He really follows you? Have you guys ever spoken?
President Obama follows me on Twitter. I don't know when it happened or how, but when I saw it, I went crazy. I was taking videos and showing everybody, and I think at least twice a year I posted and tweeted out just a picture where it says Barack Obama is following Jocko Sims. So it's awesome. It's pretty awesome.
That's amazing. And I'm gonna go ahead and say it, he's forever my president. I know.
He's
and you
forever
guys,
my president.
Exactly. And side note, you guys make sure that you guys vote. Your voice is going to be so important in this upcoming presidential election. I wish we could put Obama back on the ballot, but I guess we can't do that. So vote. I'm not going to tell you who to vote for, but I'm hoping that you at least vote and make your voice heard. But Absolutely. That's really cool. You think you can follow me? What'd you do?
Listen, I don't even know. Well, I freaked out. Well, first of all, I discovered it in 2016 while he was still president. So he was the sitting president of the United States. That's just my biggest claim to fame. We don't even talk about the stuff I've done.
So Dr. Reynolds, so head of cardiology. I'm just curious, how does one prepare to be a doctor on television? Because I've seen some of your scenes, you're in the surgery room and you're doing all these things. And I'm just like, is that something that how did you come to learn that? Did you have to train with physicians in a hospital to get that skill set, or how did that come about?
Well, there's a couple of things. First of all, because I'd been heavily into science and actually had interest in being a doctor, I feel like I'd sort of been training for this my whole life. And sort of like two dreams to come true. Also, they sat us down with our counterparts, who would we be playing? So I sat down with the head of the cardiac surgical department of Bellevue Hospital, Dr. Norma Keller, got to pick her brain for a little while. And then also we have, top-notch medical advisors who were there on the set with us side by side, even while I'm doing my surgeries. To the left of me usually is Dr. Jeff, who's behind the mask. And he's a 29-year veteran in general medicine there. He's a surgeon. So watching my every move, no pressure, to make sure that I'm doing it right and that it looks, that it looks good on television. In fact, everybody who's there in the operating rooms with me are real doctors and nurses. And they want to make sure if they're even handing me a tool, like a scalpel or something, that it looks authentic. So they all do a great job and keep us on our toes.
Okay, I'll wait for my invite to come on the show too.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Now, I also want to ask, so Chief of Cardiology, the show is doing well, but I also noticed that you've done some other work around cardiology outside of the show. And so I came to learn that you are actually a volunteer and ambassador for the American Heart Association.
That's correct.
How'd that come about?
Well, actually, I think they had reached out to NBC and the publicity department, let me know, and I jumped at the opportunity. It's great to be able to play someone like Dr. Reynolds and sort of bring awareness, health awareness and social issues on the show like New Amsterdam. And I just thought it was a great fit. And one of the first things I got to do was go to Morehouse College of Medicine and do a panel with doctors and other officials, and it was a great experience for everybody there just to get to talking about health in the Black community, which is not something that has been a big part of our culture for many years. And and I think right now we got a campaign that's it's called Hands Only CPR going on with the American Heart Association, which is really great. It's just getting that awareness out and reminding people that just what you have to do in case of an emergency, a cardiac emergency.
Exactly. And so I am a cardiac clinical nurse specialist. I'm an advanced practitioner. I'm very passionate about the heart. When my father passed away from a massive heart attack, I said I would be the best cardiac nurse in the world. And so that's what set me out on my journey. And I wanted to say this, although you play a physician on television, representation still matters. So whether it's in the acting role, I think it's important that people watching the television can actually see, oh, this is a Black physician. He's the head of cardiology. He's doing his thing. And then also seeing you, as a Black male, I'll say this because Black men with heart disease, it's very prevalent. You segueing to doing work with the American Heart Association is very important. And CPR, even more important. So guys, I'm just going to play a quick clip so we can see how Dr. Reynolds teaches everyone how to.
And this is Jocko. This is actually a video that I did.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Yeah, no worries. No, so just so they know that this isn't a clip from the show. This is a video that myself and the American Heart Association, along with Los Angeles Children's Hospital, put together to spread the word.
Correct. So this is the real life you extending yourself to teach people how to do CPR. Here we go.
So if you see a teen or an adult collapsed and unresponsive, first, call 911 or ask someone to. Second, you want to push hard and fast in the center of the chest. Now, you might be asking how hard and how fast. That's a good question. You want to go 2 inches deep and about as fast as an upbeat song like Staying Alive by the Bee Gees or Crazy in Love by Beyonce. Here we go.
So that was good. Now,
what's crazy, I was going to say what's crazy is during this time, during the pandemic, calls to 911 and visits to the emergency room are actually down. And that's for several reasons. People were afraid to catch COVID at hospitals. And they were also told, sort of discouraged from going to hospitals because of course, they were being overwhelmed in this country. And at the same time, we've seen a rise in cardiac arrests during this crisis, which is odd. And particularly in Los Angeles, they're up, which is why Los Angeles Children's Hospital teamed up with the American Heart Association to spread the word. And 70% of cardiac arrests happen in homes. And with us spending more and more time at home nowadays, it's all the more important to know what to do in a cardiac emergency. So you can go to the American Heart Association's website, on their YouTube channel, and even on my social media to check out that full video. You got to check it out and spread the word because you never know if you have an opportunity to save the life of someone you love.
Absolutely. It's very important that we know CPR. And I mean, we've seen some videos that have gone viral of even little kids learning CPR and saving the lives of their siblings and their loved ones. And, he's right, guys, we're spending a lot more time at home. It's very important that we know this because you very well could save someone's life. Now, we have some cool questions in the chat box for you. Let's see, let's see. Here we go. Let's ask this question. So Charlotte Wheeler had a question for you, and she wants to know, how has the pandemic affected the acting scene for you and your peers?
That was an excellent question. And I would say very deeply. In fact, we had written over a year ago an episode about a pandemic that breaks out in New York City, overwhelms the hospital, overwhelms the city, and we have to call in other doctors from outside to come help us. Well, that was all fiction. When we came around to shooting it, actually a year later, the crisis COVID hit at the same time. And the doctor, played by Daniel Day Kim, you've seen him on Lost and Hawaii Five-0, he came on to play that doctor and he had COVID. He caught it there on the set. It spread around a little bit there. And thankfully, everybody's okay. I happen to not be in that particular episode. So I wasn't as affected as my other peers. But talk about art imitating life. It was pretty incredible. We even had to make some adjustments there because we felt that the world needed more truth and facts, rather than this fiction. And we thought it might be a little insensitive to show that episode. So we pulled it. And now when we come back in season 3, we'll pick up about, just kind of telling the story of the inside look of what was going on during this crisis.
Wow, that's interesting. That's kind of creepy in a sense also, but I think even with 9/11, there are people who had written stories about those type of events happening and those happening. But let me give you credit to the amazing writers of the show then to have to be able to really expand their vision and to write, something as large and big like that. Something truly can happen. So good writing on that show.
And it's strange because whenever I'd seen a show or been a part, the show that I was on before this show was The Last Ship, and I spent 5 seasons of a show running from a pandemic that had spread worldwide, and we had this vaccine on our show, and we were trying to save the world, and that was categorized just 3 years ago as science fiction,
Oh, wow.
and that's no longer sci-fi.
Nope.
It became real, and it's interesting because I would be afraid. I was reading those stories, and kudos to those writers as well. But we've been warned. We've had many warnings. We've
Sure.
had warnings politically. We've had past presidents and past administrations try to prepare us for what's coming. Dr. Fauci's been around for, I mean, God knows, decades,
I love Dr.
telling
Fauci.
us and preparing us, and Bill and Melinda Gates, and also our great writers in Hollywood, and they've all been warning us, and unfortunately we weren't as prepared as we could have been yet and still. But hopefully this will be a good wake up call for not just Americans, but everybody around the world.
And that is true. And we, as the United States, kind of being the leader of the world, and someone who's in healthcare, I think we were a little relaxed. We weren't
Yeah.
we weren't on our toes. We weren't as prepared as we could have and should have been, because we have resources. We do, but we weren't anticipating those type of things. But whoever anticipates an emergency or an accident, so we have to stay in the state of readiness. So hopefully, moving forward, I still work in the hospital. I work in ICU and ER, and some days, guys, it can really, really be overwhelming. But we're getting better. We're learning more every day about the virus, how it spreads, what it does to people, being better stewards of our resources. And so I think we're getting better at things. So let's see. We have some other questions here before I let you go. Hold on. Oh, yes. Let's see. Okay, so let's see. Carlos has a comment here, but I saw this on your social media. So you are very much a health enthusiast. I can see that. And I saw you using some type of, it looked like, I want to say it's almost like the mirror, but it's not the mirror. I know it's not. And there's some other gym equipment that goes along with it.
Yes.
And I believe it's called Tonal. There you go. It's called Tonal.
It is Tonal. Tonal is great. I'm glad I got to sign up with them. And it's not a commercial for them, but the fact, I think I learned, obviously being on this show, the importance of health. I've learned a lot being on the show, but also just during, again, this pandemic, we're finding that the people who are having the most complications due to the virus are people who had pre-existing conditions, people who were maybe out of shape, and that sort of thing. So for me, it was a wake-up call, and that's when I decided to try to at least watch more of what I eat, pay attention to that, and also get in shape. And that's why I'm so glad that I've partnered up with Tonal. And you can check out tonal.com, TONAL.com. They're just the most comprehensive, awesome at-home workout system that I've ever seen. You got a lot of people in the NBA who used it during the bubble to stay in shape, and I just think it's fantastic, especially again when you're at home all the time. There's a lot of stuff out there, but this is the one that I chose that I thought was the best for everybody.
Okay. And guys, so this is really good, especially if the gyms are closed. If you're looking for a piece of equipment, get a piece of equipment and stay exercising. Because I think that's one thing that we've also, and I'm worried about coming out on the other end of this pandemic, that people are going to have gained weight, be out of shape. And, it's going to be another battle for us to fight. Now, I just want to ask a few more questions here because you got your fans chiming in. Lanice Stevens, what kind of doctor did you want to be when you were growing up? And when did you decide acting was the career move?
Hey, Lanice. I actually wanted to be an orthodontist or a dentist.
Oh.
I don't know why I was so fascinated with that. And I was still open. So, if I ended up changing my mind down the line, and boy, did I change my mind, decided not to do it at all. But yeah, I think, and then the acting bug bit me once I got to college and took my first acting class. And I was like, this is it, I'm home.
There you go. One other question from a fan here. Jane Haven, do you think your character will ever get back together with the ER doc?
That's a good question. And you know what? Where we left off before the pandemic, actually, Jane, As you know, my character, Dr. Reynolds, got engaged to Evie, and Evie took a job position in
Hmm.
San Francisco. So Dr. Reynolds was toying, whether or not he's going to stay in New Amsterdam or go to San Francisco, and he made the choice to leave the hospital. So whether or not you were going to see him return, or whether or not you were going to see maybe he was going to have a spinoff or something like that, we were going to find that out by the end of season 2. But when the pandemic hit, we didn't see those last couple of episodes. So whether or not he gets with Dr. Bloom, or you'll even see him again to come back on the show, you'll have to tune in to see season 3 in the beginning of next year to find all of that out.
Oh my goodness. Well, he would leave us on a cliffhanger, huh, James? But I love it. And I love seeing you on screen. You do an amazing job.
Thank you.
And, again, and it's excellent, not just Black excellence, but just excellence, period. You seem to be a very strong role model with your acting career, college, schooling, your volunteer work around health initiatives, especially since health is very important these days. So hats off to you. Thank you so much. It has been a privilege to have you on the show, and definitely want to make sure that you're not a stranger to the exam room. And you're going to have to come back and tell us a little bit about you. You can't just leave us hanging like this.
Oh yeah, we'll be able to talk about it. I'm looking forward to it, and the pleasure is all mine. I love what you're doing here. It's very important to have these kind of shows, especially within our community. So kudos to you, and keep up the good work. And I'll see you again soon.
Thank you. See you again soon. Bye now.
All right. Take care. Bye.
Okay. Oh my God, guys, this has been a great episode, and we are actually maybe a little bit over the line, but you know what? That's okay, because everyone was fabulous. Jocko Sims, Dr. Ebonie Vincent, Tiffany Porter. I mean, everything here that we talked about, while it shared the gamut from acting to volunteerism to actual medicine to politics and all those things. One of the things that was very much central to all conversations was a conversation around health and wellness. And that's what this show is about. Again, we talk about health, wellness, love, lifestyle, politics, and pop culture. I come to your device, digital screen, whatever it is you're watching me on, every Monday, 6 p.m., 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is The Exam Room with Nurse Alice. It has been a privilege. Thank you so much for engaging in the comments. And we will be back again next week. And let me go ahead, if I may. I'm just going to go ahead and drop a teaser. You guys will see the promo coming up very soon. But coming up on next week's episode, we have Ananda Lewis. You guys might remember her from Teen Summit's BET. She has been diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer. She will talk to us about her journey and what she's going through and managing that. And again, continue the conversation around Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Doesn't need to be October for us to talk about it. As well, we have Royce the 5'9". He is a rapper and activist. He will be joining the conversation to talk a little bit about his music, what he's been working on, as well as the work that he's been working on around mental health in the Detroit communities. So that's very important, because mental health is extremely important, especially in today's society, in today's climate. You got to check on your strong friends. We got to make sure that we're doing well. And mental health is something we don't talk enough about. And rounding out the conversation, we have actor, activist, writer, author, new dad, Hill Harper, who will be joining the conversation. You guys, so all that and more on The Exam Room with Nurse Alice next Monday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Stay tuned. Make sure to subscribe to my Facebook and YouTube channel so you don't miss an episode. Hit that bell so you're notified of each show that comes on. Keep checking out. There's lots of wonderful content. And then, guys, so until next time, be kind to one another. Make good choices, wash your hands, and live well, my friends. Till next time. Bye.